Hi guys, today we'll explore how to revolutionize your Power BI dashboards by setting up data-driven alert systems using Power Automate with some advanced tricks. Imagine monitoring dozens of KPIs using a single workflow and automating personalized alert emails. In part 1 of this project, we saw how to set up data-driven alert system for 15 different KPIs using 15 different alerts and 15 different workflow, which required a lot of manual work and setup. Today, we'll learn how to set up the same alert system using one single alert and one single Power Automate workflow. Sounds promising, right? Before we dig in, make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay updated with amazing content. Now, grab a cup of coffee, sit back and watch. So this is the same budget report we used in part 1 of this project. A quick summary: we have a budget reported for 5 different projects coming from one source across 3 different stages. And we have another source that gives us the consumption or the contracts signed against each of the budgets. And we wanted to track whenever we exceed the budget, and an automated alerts should be received whenever we exceed the budget for any of the projects across any of the stages. And we saw that we have 15 different RAGs we need to track, and we have amber color for exceeding 5% and red color for exceeding 10%. The first thing to do, we want to prepare the data for the new alert system we are going to create. And we will start from the budget report. So we have here the budget for the 5 different projects across the stages. What we want to do here, we want to add one column, we name it email. And in that column, we want to provide the emails that we expect them to receive the alerts whenever the budget exceeded. For this tutorial, I'm just going to use my email for all of them. But you can use different emails, and if you want to use more than one email for a project, you can add just a semicolon and enter the new email address. But for this tutorial, we'll keep it as one. Now we go back to our report and we just refresh to bring the email. So if we go to the tables, we can see the email column is added. Next, we will create one calculated column. So right click, new column. I have it ready, I'll just paste. So this column will bring us the total consumption for each of the projects and the stages. So it filters the consumption table for the same project ID we see here and the same stage we see here. And you just click commit. So now we have the contract signed. We can add the comma here to make it currency. Then we'll create one more calculated column. This column will just calculate the percentage of amount consumed over the budget. Hit enter. Let's convert it to percentage. Next, we want to create one more calculated column, and this a very important column to control the amount of emails we're receiving. Let's first create the column and then I'll explain it. So we'll name this column recent. Let's click commit. So this column will show 1 if the latest contract for this project is within today or yesterday, and it will show 0 if it was before. So if we go to the consumption table here, we can see we have a date for the contract for each of the contracts. So we're looking at this date, we're comparing it to today, and if it is within today or yesterday, it will show here as 1. If not, it will show as 0. And this will allow us to control the amount of emails we're receiving. And we'll see later how we're going to use this column. So we're done with this table. Next, we'll go to the consumption table. In the consumption table, we want to create one calculated column to act as a trigger. And this is the second trick. The idea is we want a number that changes as we add contracts. So whenever a new contract is added, this number will increment. And we'll use this as a trigger to the workflows. We'll see later how we're going to use this. So let's right click on the consumption table and click new column. We'll name it trigger and it will be equal to the date column. We'll use the same date column here and we click commit. And we'll simply convert this to a whole number. We need to convert this to a whole number because if you remember in the previous video, we said that alerts only work with numbers. So when we convert this to a whole number, it can act as a trigger. And the nice thing about this number, it keeps incrementing as the date changes. We'll see in a minute how we're going to use this trigger. But for now, we have all the data we need, all the transformation we need ready. So now let's set up the report and the alerts. Now for the alert, we'll create a new page and we'll just use a card. And in this card, we'll feed the trigger column we added in the consumption table. And from the field here, we change some to maximum. Let's change the format, remove the units from auto to none. So this basically corresponds to the latest date, which will help us to control how many times the alert will be triggered. So this is the trigger after some formatting. Let's name this page as alert. And we have our report ready. Now we can publish this report to Power BI service just like the previous video. So this is the published report and we can see here the alert page. And as promised, we have only one card. We don't need to worry about 15 different cards and we are going to set the workflow for this card only. So what we need to do, we need to pin this visual and we'll create a new dashboard. We'll name it budget alert 2 and we click pin. Here it shows the visual is pinned and we can go to the dashboard. Just like the previous video, we'll click on the 3 dots here, manage alerts, and we'll add alert rule, keep it active, we'll keep the name as is, and the threshold, we'll put it above 0, and now you can trigger it at most once an hour. In the previous video we said for this alert to be triggered, there are a few conditions we need to meet. First, the data needs to be refreshed. Second, the number must change and it needs to exceed the threshold. And finally, it can be triggered only once an hour if you select this option, or every 24 hours, like once a day if you trigger this option. And you make sure to save and close. Now you open it again from the 3 dots, manage alerts, and click on use Microsoft Power Automate to trigger additional actions. This Power Automate template will open for you. Make sure to have the Power BI connection set up. If it's not picked up automatically, click continue. Now we have the trigger here for the alert. Click on it and you need to select the alert you just created. So we have it here. Click on it. Next, you click on the plus sign and add actions, search for Power BI. You find here all the actions, just click on see more actions for Power BI and select run a query against a dataset. So we have the block added here. You need to select the workspace first, and I have the dashboard published in my workspace. I'll just click on it, and you need to select the dataset. It will list all the datasets. You'll select the same dataset for the report you published, and finally here you need to provide the query, and this needs to be a DAX query. And this brings us to the third trick, how to get this query. The difficult way, you need to write it down yourself, or you can use the trick I'm going to show you to get it without writing any DAX. To do this, we'll go back on Power BI desktop. So this is the report we published. Let's just go to the alert page. Then you create a table, and for this table you feed in all the columns you want. Let's add from the budget table the project, the stage, the approved budget, the contract value, and you'll add the email, the variance, and finally you add the column we created to check if it's a recent. And you don't need to have them as sum. From here you can change them to don't summarize for all of them. So we want the query behind this table. To get the query behind this table, click on optimize up here and select performance analyzer and click start recording and refresh visuals. Now you will find the table you just created here. All you need to do is copy the query. This will give you the DAX query you need to provide in Power Automate. So now let's go back to Power Automate. You come here and you just paste. And you have the query you need. So far, this workflow will be triggered whenever a new contract is added, and it will run a query against our dataset to get the table we saw a minute ago in Power BI desktop, and then we'll create a loop now to go through the table and send emails if budget is exceeded. So now let's create the loop. Click on the plus sign here and look for apply to each. So we have this action here, click on it, and while selecting apply to each here, you need to provide the field here, and you'll select it from the previous step. From the table you'll find the first table rows. So basically this will iterate or will loop through all the rows in the query from the previous step. Click on it. Next we'll add conditions. So add action and look for condition. Here it is, click on it. So we have a condition added, and here we need to provide the value for the condition, and for that we're going to use an expression because we want to get values from inside the query. So click on expression and provide the expression here. I have the expression ready. But this is the way it needs to be constructed. You need to use the items. This will allow you to access the apply to each function. So here you provide items, then you provide the name of the loop. We have the name is apply to each here, and then you provide the table name and the column name. They need to be in this exact format, and then you click add. So we have the expression provided here. So we want only to find if we're exceeding the budget by 105%. So you choose here greater than 1.05. And we will add one more condition. Again, we'll use expression Again, I will paste it and we'll look for recent column is equal to 1. Now the first condition is clear. We want only the rows or the projects that exceeded the budget. But why we're using this second condition? The idea is this workflow will be triggered every time a contract is added. So let's assume that one project exceeded the budget 1 month ago. So unless you want to receive a notification every single day or every time the data is refreshed, you need to use this to control the amount of emails you're receiving. So we have the two conditions set, and now we need to add another condition. The second condition will be used to check if we're exceeding the budget by more than 5% or by more than 10%. So let's click on add action. Again, condition, click here. It's added now. And the condition, we just have one value we need to add. Let's click on expression. The same way we're looking at the variance. Click add. If it's greater than 1.1, which means 110%, it will go to this direction. If it's less, which means it's between 5% and 10%, it will come here. And now we're ready to add the emails or the final step. Let's click on add here, add action, and search for send email. We have it here, send an email, click on it. And we need to set it up like part 1 of this project. Again, here we're not going to write the email. If you remember, we have added the email to the data, so we're going to use enter custom value and click on expression, and we'll just provide the expression this time for the email. So this will read from the data the email. The subject, we can create the subject here. Let's add the project name from the data expression, paste, click add space, dash, and the same way we add the stage, click add. And here we're going to the red flag or exceeding more than 10%. So we have the subject ready. Now we can also add the body of the email. So I have typed down the email. I'll just make few changes, just like part 1. Make this red. And let's add the project name here from the data, just the same way. We have the project, add. And we add also the stage, just paste. Just rename this to stage, click add. And we can add more data for the budget. We just click the expression, and for this we need not only to add the field, we need also to format it. So I use the format number function here and provided this format. We need to have 2 decimal places. Click add, and the same for the contracts values. Just paste. And finally we need to add the percentage exceeded, and we'll add this expression. This expression, just like what we have formatted in the previous video, and it has this format. So I really encourage you guys to have a look in the previous part video because we covered a lot of things in details. Let's just add this. Now we have all the data, and here we add the link for the dashboard. Click on insert link, edit, and just paste a link to the dashboard and apply. So we have the email set up for the red flag, and here finally I will just apply the high importance to this email, and we have the red flag email ready. Now we need to create another email for the yellow or the amber. So I have prepared the email, just exactly the same way. We just change this to yellow flag and the importance to normal, and we replaced the word issue with risk. If you notice here, after you create the email, this turns on to yellow, and this how you make sure that you picked up the column from the query, because it is automatically now assigned to the query. It turned from expression to this format, but here because we're doing some number format, it remains as an expressions for both emails. So guys, now we have our workflows ready, and all you need to do now is to save. If you go back, you just need to make sure that this turned on, and now we're ready to test the dashboard. So we promised even if you add new projects, you don't need to do any manual work. So before we test the dashboard, I added a new project, and in the consumption I added a contract against this project. So let's save and refresh our dashboard. So here, refresh. So you can see now the new project is added. It only has this stage and it exceeding the budget. So now let's publish this dashboard and see if we're receiving the alerts. I'll just replace the same report, and it was published. Now if we go back to the dashboard, we can see the little bell here showing, and it shows that the alert has been triggered. If you click on it, you can see on the top we have the alert was triggered. Let's check the emails we're receiving, and here you go. I received 3 red flags for 3 different projects with the same workflow. If you open one of them, you can see the structure as expected. You have the project name, you have the approved budget, the total spent, and you have the percentage we exceed the budget with, a link to the dashboard, and this repeated for the other 2 projects. And I just want to remind you with one thing here. I received only 3 emails, while if we go to the report, we can see more than 3 budgets have been exceeded. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So why we received only 3 emails? This because of the column we added for recent. So if the contracts has been added to this project within today or yesterday, it will show 1. Otherwise it's 0. Even if it's exceeded, like this one for example, it's exceeding the budget by more than 10%, but it shows 0 because the latest contract is before yesterday. So if you have the dashboard is refreshed in the tenant or in Power BI service in daily basis, people will receive the email only twice, one for the previous day and one for today, but after that they will stop receiving emails unless a new contract was added to this project. This way you can control the amount of emails you're receiving. And that's it. We have our scalable alert solution. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the powerful capabilities of Power BI and Power Automate. If you found the content of this video valuable, hit the like button, leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if new. Also, remember that you can download the Power BI file and the data covered in this video in a link in the description. Peace.